up on Cricket Hill. Not nearly as brown as I thought. This microclimate's pretty crazy. Well, doing some crop checking. Really actually ground moisture checking. Even on the hillside, we've got squelchy wetness. And what's this? Lodged first cut that's so blown over. Second cut's growing up through it sideways. That's gonna be fun. Whew. Well, here we are. 2021 might be a new benchmark for terrible haying seasons. I always thought 2018 was bad, but at least we got first cut done before the skies opened up. So we mowed about an acre yesterday before getting poured on, but that's okay. It didn't lose anything from still being freshly cut. Oh, and just mowed about I don't know, 2/3 of an acre this morning. Basically our two remaining dry quote unquote fields, even though they still were very wet. The other fields have just about standing water on them. So chipping away what little bit we can, using the 135 to TED and probably rake just to be as light-footed as possible. Those things like half the weight of the other tractors, no loaded tires, and yeah, you know, be watching for ruts and mud and staying clear of those spots. But it's better than not doing anything. And you know, there's some green understory in this. It's not going to be a total loss, but we'll see. We've only got today and tomorrow, and maybe even showers or thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. So it's a gamble. Second field, it's pretty wet under there, but actually that lower side is better, and we're just gonna do it. Well, this end of the field is soaking wet. That edge is soaking wet, but that whole middle and far corner is actually not nearly as wet as you think. It's gonna be a weird baling pattern. It's coming along. Still wet ground though. Jeez. To be expected. Well, got it raked up off the ground. It's crazy. A lot of this is actually baleable today, except for the fact that the ground is still wet and there's fresh green wads coming up in it in places. So we're gonna wait till tomorrow, but I guess you can still dry hay. Well, second field, and that is ugly. Ooh. I don't know if we're gonna get a baler on this tomorrow. If I could teleport it to that back corner, I'd do that a little bit, but yeesh. That's wet ground. Well, here we have it. Full sun, lightly teased out the windrows with the tedder. Actually used the 135's fancy ground speed PTO, which made it go even slower, to just pull these windrows apart but still keep them intact. Probably give it another half hour, re-rake it, and then see if we can beat the thunderstorms and get something usable out of this. I've seen worse. Well, about 1 o'clock, already put 12 together. Moisture is averaging between 9 and 12%. The bales are solid, but not overly heavy. The sun's out. We've got our emergency tarp in case the skies open up. We'll see if we get this field and maybe the other one. Who knows? Well, one full wagon, a couple on the ground, and radar says thunderstorms coming. So we're gonna haul this thing up the hill to the barn. Already got a tractor up there to park it. Hopefully at least get this under cover before the skies open up. Feeling pretty damn clever. Way easier to push a wagon in the barn than pull it. Just started raining. I think we got this load. Well, you know, one wagon out of the less than two we had down, not bad. I'll take this exact timing. Well, this little piece got soaked. It's too bad. There was maybe, I don't know, 40 bales of decent stuff there around this big wet spot. But now it's soaked. And I don't quite know what the plan is. We'll have to see. Maybe it'll present us with a window to dry it back out and bale it for mulch. Maybe we'll just brush hog the heck out of it and try to get it to break down. I really don't know. But I'm done for today. Well, we are convoying back down the hill. All of these fields are way too wet. We've got over 4 inches of rain this weekend. There's standing water here. We have some second cut fields that are dry, and that's what we're doing. So this is the field way back down in the center of town that Boyden's chopped first cut about 8 weeks ago, maybe 9 weeks now. And that is a lot of second cut regrowth. This is nice sandy river bottom soil, well drained. And we're gonna do this one and then maybe the one above the cemetery just up there that is regrown for 5 weeks but has something mowable. We have to keep on moving and mowing something. With any luck, this dry weather will dry out that standing water and we'll get back to first cut. But well, this might be a new record for absurdity. We took first cut off this field 5 weeks ago. Regrowth is crazy. It's super dry. It's the only other field we can get on, and it's right next to the one we just mowed. Even though we still have a third of our first cut to get through, this one's ready. We have a 4-day stretch of weather. Oh, plans are out the window this year. This is nuts. 5 weeks? I have never seen that before. I'm not complaining. surprising amount of grass. Game on. Well, we've got both fields raked. The bigger field was definitely ready for it. This 5-week-old second cut is not quite, it's a little premature, but it's nice to get it scraped up off the ground. There was a potential rainstorm coming this way, and it completely missed us somehow. But this will work, the wind will blow through it. Might even lightly tease it back out with the tedder tomorrow, but I think this is definitely gonna be a Saturday baling day. So we'll see how the other field does too. But really beautiful stuff. It's just that little bit of internal moisture. You know, it's going to take a while to dry down because it was just lush, green, nice grass. Now that's just pretty. Let's hope we don't get some rain today. That would be a real shame. All right, we got 114 before a very, very small amount of rain actually threw a giant tarp on this and drove it all the way up the hill to Cricket Hill. But now it's safely in the barn. Beautiful second cut that didn't get wet. Sun's back out. We're gonna see if we can bale anymore. Well, we squeaked in another half wagon. Had to tarp it again, dodged some more raindrops, got it unloaded in the barn. So I think that's what, 165 off this field so far. Just have a couple outside windrows to do tomorrow, plus the field above the cemetery. Boy, this has been a day of dodging rain, but getting a decent number in. So here's a nice visual example of why we re-rake in the morning. These are the two outside windrows. Re-rake the one closest to us, and not yet re-rake the other. It's kind of inefficient because we're trying to flop them both back out. Double raking. When two becomes one. Always nice to do this when the second cut's drying up. Hey, we just hit our 3,000 bale mark. A little late in the year for that, especially since we were expecting 6,000 this year, but that's something. Well, that sucks. At least we're not in a rush and we've got another wagons, but that's annoying. Well, 69 beautiful bales on this wagon, 15 down there. That makes 84. Again, 5 weeks of regrowth, beautiful stuff. Extra gimme day of baling after doing the one down there. I'll take it. Well, here's a little PSA on overripe hay. Here we are knocking down up on Cricket Hill, first cut. It is overripe for sure. This field though luckily has lots of timothy and finer grasses. So even though you look out across it and you see sort of a sea of brown, down in it is lots of nice green. This timothy is, you know, it's getting overripe for sure, but there's a lot of nice green in the stem, a lot of nice green leaves. And when we ted it out, even the sections that had more orchard grass, there's still lots of good material here. So we're gonna try like heck over the next 2 days and see if we can get this baleable by Tuesday before any potential storms. Big wet swale down the middle of this field we have to go on either side of. So that little knoll is gonna be fun. Probably have to do that onto the ground, but grass up there is way too nice to pass up. So here we are, back at it again. Well, we're getting some really good dry down with this breeze and sun already, although I can't say that wildfire smoke from out west was in the plan. It's clearing a little bit, but I can actually smell it up here. It's crazy. Guess a reminder to keep things in perspective. Well, it's doing the floop all right. It's always a good sign. I think it's turning a corner already. Well, no video of the action today, but we got 384 off this field on 4 wagons. Not totally full because of the hill. Had to bale a few on the ground from some wet areas. Got 1 wagon unloaded and 3 more back to back to back in the barn. Nice and full. And the rain is going to be here any moment. Call that a win. Whoa boy, we're about to get walloped. Thank you, barn. Well, we're at it again. Forecast doesn't look awesome. Today and tomorrow is supposed to be good, although we just got a couple raindrops. Sunday is the big question mark. Showers in the afternoon, they say. But that could be early afternoon, it could be mid-afternoon. But the 2 remaining fields up here on Cricket Road are a lot, Cricket Hill Road, are a lot wetter, you know, than usual. That whole corner, this little one we didn't do, and the other, I don't know, 2.5 acre field, probably only knocked down about 1.5 acres of it. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but if we lose it, we lose it. We get it, we're 1 step closer to being done with first cut. You know, it's only July 30th, so we don't want to rush these things. All right, maybe farmer fix for the win. We broke this tie rod about a week and a half ago. Really oddball wagon, somebody scratch built it. Can't for the life of me figure out where to get another matching tie rod. So instead, we use these 2 heavy duty Tractor Supply sway bars with a couple of bushings, cut it to the right length, drilled new holes, and behold, there's no grease fittings on it, but I've got other wagons that don't actually have grease fittings on the steering linkage, and we'll just be sure to slop a bunch of grease in there once in a while. I think it'll at least get us through the rest of this season. All greased and tightened up, and look at that. It steers just fine. Well, I'll put it through a test on a hayfield at some point. Well, a partial wagon baled. There's actually more in there than it looks like, as I stacked the whole bottom to keep the center of gravity low. But pretty much the only section of this field we can even get on is the weird steep side hill, and I don't want to tempt fate too much with this rear hitch. It's holding up really nicely with this Wesco reinforcing job, but you know, that's a lot of side-to-side torque when I go and turn right at the bottom of that steep little hill. So let's drop this, grab another wagon. Well, I guess fourth time's the charm on the rear hitch braking. Yeah, nope, we're gonna bail onto the ground until we get a better hitch made up somewhere. I mean, the safety chain did its job. I wish the wagon wasn't pushing on the thrower. Ooh, we're gonna have to chalk that. Well, at least we're almost done with first cut anyway. Only a little bit more to bale tomorrow. Well, here's the broken piece again. This is that solid core down the middle, and it split around it. So this back half is total junk. But what I'm curious about, to get limp through the rest of the season, if I take the back part of it, it makes the hitch a lot shorter, but slide it in and drill a new hole right where the old pin is supposed to go. And then two of my wagons have extending tongues on them. So I can actually slide the end of that out and lock it in a new location with a couple bolts. And a third wagon might be just long enough, because I'm losing distance of about here to there if you were to line these two up. So that's how much shorter the hitch is, really, which I can totally gain that on that wagon and another one and maybe one more. And maybe be able to actually limp through the rest of the season using at least two wagons, maybe three, and then take my time getting something fabricated after. So this is roughly where it would line up if I got that pin actually attached. And that's not without even extending the hitch on this wagon. That's plenty of space. So this one's long enough. I think I can make one other one long enough. And the question is whether the third one that can't extend is already long enough. I know I have one that's way too short, and that's the whole reason for this stupid long hitch. So I don't know. Maybe I'm better off making my wagons fit the Baler rather than the other way around. Well, welcome to another pivot. Once again, remaining first cut fields, too wet. We're down to 3 that we have left, but they're too wet to get on. So we're doing more second cut, annoying little bits of milkweed, but you know, it is what it is. You can get on this field, there's something to mow, game on. Well, it's knocked down. Decent amount here for, I think we're at 6 weeks of regrowth on this. Taking advantage of my dad tedding just to get it extra dry time. Finished mowing, a couple weedy patches we're gonna knock down with the mower after we get the hay raked away from it. Still some wet areas, but all in all, that right where he is right now, there was almost a foot of water 3 weeks ago, and now it's dry. I have no idea. I don't know, hydrology escapes me sometimes, but in typical fashion, won't question it, just keep on mowing through it. So we'll see. I don't know, might be 150 here, maybe. You know, grass stood tall, decently thick, but you know, if we can get 150, that would put us at around 50 an acre, which is pretty target for second cut. Might be less than that, all said. So we'll see. So here's a prime example of when we talk about overripe first cut getting second cut mixed into it. These bales have some overripe stocky stuff at first, but almost seem like they're more than 50% second cut at this point, and they're nice and soft and have good green color to them. Can't say they all came out like this, but we definitely got some off of a few fields. Well, we're raking with the 275 today. 165 still on the mower. It's nice to mix it up once in a while. Nice job. Second cut's coming quite a long ways on this field, but you know, still a ways off from Baler. We'll see if we get enough sun and breeze tomorrow to get this on the home stretch. If not, we'll keep playing with it, and we will try to, dodge any rain. Besides, get the substrate come off the ground. Still some ground moisture to deal with. Feels like September is August 3rd. Well, we've got the shortened Baler hitch and the lengthened wagon tongue on this wagon. That one's long enough. So, any luck, get this in. Well, on the downside, these bales just missed the mark. Did some about an hour and a half ago that were getting between 13 to 18% moisture. 15% is what you want. Just did some more that were around 12, 13, but I kept seeing blips of like 16, 17. You know, if the next few days were supposed to be solid rain, that'd be one thing, but we just have a chance of showers tonight and then hopefully a few more good days. So this stuff's too nice to try to risk packing too much moisture in and having spoilage. On the plus side, the shortened hitch worked fine, and the longer Baler or longer wagon tongue also worked fine. So, and actually that's a lot of clearance between here and there, so we might be okay on the slightly shorter tongue wagons. Well, what do you do when you can't bale what you have on the ground? You mow more, I guess. Fortunately, we're now across town, back at the very first field we did this year, finally, with a lot of regrowth of second cut. Got some milkweed forests that luckily are pretty self-contained, so mowed around those. I used to mow through it and pick the milkweed out, but you know, rather have the habitat for monarchs. And all said, it's not that much hay, and I'm too tired and have too much to do to mess around picking up milkweed. So mowed around it, still got most of the field laid down. It's pretty thick. So we'll see if it wilts down today at all, and if the sun they're promising tomorrow does the trick, maybe to try to squeak this in on Saturday before potential rain on Sunday. But we got the other field to focus on baling tomorrow. So I guess we keep mowing and keep chancing it and see what happens. Wheel break for monarchs. This field has a little bit of milkweed we didn't mow. Figured this guy is out here. Well, a little living piece for you. Man, we are so stinking close on this field. Just flopped these rows over and the sun finally came out. And boy, does it look beautiful. But we still got some areas, even on the bottom of the row already, that are reading about 17, 19% moisture. If there was rain tomorrow, I'd bale this in a heartbeat. But tomorrow's supposed to be nice and sunny. This stuff is way too nice to, to botch it. But boy, it would be nice to have this cleaned up and in the barn today. This field of thru. We'll head and focus on the field to get baled today. Have my dad tend this again for me. Then hopefully come back and rake it. Well, it's always nice to end a day with some raking. Got about 100 bales in the other field across town. Only took us 5 days to get the dew dried off adequately, but sun came out enough today to make that work. My dad was over here tedding, hit it a couple times, just raked it. Trying to get it in tomorrow is going to be a bit of a stretch, especially with the lack of sun they're talking about. But we'll try, and worst case scenario, it gets maybe some showers on Sunday, then we'll dry it back out. It's second cut, it's resilient. I actually have folks that would like a little bit of slightly rained on second. Once it's dried back out, it reduces the sugar content for their horses. So, you know, we do what we can. But times like this, it was nice to have the 2 tractors that can both run everything on opposite sides of town and not have to be chasing in circles too much. Although we did have to move the tedder back and forth. So, more tomorrow. Well, we pulled off 110 off this field yesterday, which isn't bad for second cut. There's still more to do though. Some outside windrows, about 4 of them that loop almost all the way around, plus a triangle behind these wagons. The day just started to get on a little bit too much yesterday. We had to wait to start baling till around 4 until the moisture agreed. So we'll see if we can pull this off today. It was sunny a bit ago, now it's cloudy. Tomorrow looks like the same forecast. Still got the 2 small fields to try to do also, but not rushing those. So we'll see. Going to try to put the baler on the 3rd wagon with the drawbar that might be a little bit too short and just see if that works, because if so, then we've got these 3 wagons that we can keep using this year and hopefully be fine. If not, just use 2 and bale onto the ground and rest in wintertime, I guess. Well, if that's as close as that'll get, that'll do. That'll do. Well, I got 61 buttes off this field. Mowed this yesterday around 11. The sun was just unending today. That was not the forecast. Not going to complain. One less field to worry about tomorrow with who the heck knows what the forecast brings. We got the little field down there. Well, one less to mess around with anyway. Well, we're going to go bale the little field even if it's wrong. Tired of going all the way over there to keep working it. It's nice hay. There'll be feeder bales for someone at worst case scenario, but maybe they've dried out enough after tedding and re-raking it. So we've got the baler all hooked up. God, for the amount of baling we've been doing, there's been a lot of hooking and unhooking of this. Drawbar, PTO, electronics now, the more fancy we keep getting, hydraulics. But it's okay, it doesn't take long. does not always go as planned. Raked this last night, looking beautiful. Spot shower, 7 or so last night, and that plus heavy dew is keeping us damp well until 11 a.m. It's also extremely cloudy, so I'm not sure there's any chance we're going to get this in today unless the sun really comes out. But better than letting this damp stuff test to a big low. We've got the RPMs nice and low, 6th gear, just teasing these windrows out. A little more than we usually do if we have to rake out head out windrows, but at least it'll dry there. Probably rake it back up again tonight because there's another chance of showers, and when it's in windrows, you've got half the amount of hay exposed to rain. So yeah, keep on driving in lazy circles. Well, pleased to report that at least one of the really late fields of first cut has dried out enough to get equipment on. So let's keep fingers crossed that we don't get more rain, finish up the second cut on the other end of town, and hop back to this one. Well, the first wagon, 91 on it. They look pretty nice. Moisture crept up a little bit in some spots, but mostly stayed in the under 15, 12 to 13 range. Well, this is going to be ugly, but game on. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. How did a Monarch choose that as the place? Oh, how do I get it out of there? Well, got it. See if I can keep it safe for the day. There we go. It's knocked down. Had to actually mow this thing middle out counterclockwise because that whole hillside was leaning that way. So if I tried to mow clockwise, I'd be mowing with the grain and probably have stubble that would be 12 inches long or so. So I mowed the other way. It took a long time, especially once I got to the outer passes because I had to keep driving all the way along the headlands. But it's knocked down. Didn't get the mower clogged too many times. And I think it mowed decently. Decent stubble there. And so a lot of dead material and a lot of second cut that grew up underneath it. I almost wonder if this is like a full yield of second cut with then some dead overripe first cut mixed in rather than the other way around. So not a loss, but a lot here. We're gonna ted this pretty hard right now to get it all spread out and maybe even ted it again later today. The sun's out, do what we can. Well, time to do this. Hopefully it'll all fit on 3 wagons. We've got a slope and some flat. It's going to be a weird baling pattern, but stuff's pretty decent considering how freaking late it is. Look at all that second cut in there. Well, it's always a little nerve-wracking when you fill up one wagon and you're not even sure how much you've even taken off the field yet. 2 more. We've got our 4th wagon, but the tongue is still too short to fit this new hitch. We might have to bale on the ground. We'll see. Had a weird moment of the PTO stopping on that incline up there. This tractor was at a pretty steep uphill angle though. And once I got it back on the flat, PTO started right back up again, and it hasn't been a problem. But that was a little bit disconcerting. So hopefully there's not something weird going on in there. All right, 3 wagons, 285 bales. Not bad, considering this was some pretty dead first and then some pretty nice second mixed in. Had to bale maybe 20 bales onto the ground and pick them up, put them in the wagon. So we're gonna go unload at least 1, hopefully 2 wagons, and park the 3rd one up in the barn on Cricket Hill and call it good. Nice move. Them outside people, us inside people. 2nd wagon. Boink. This field's actually in a little bit better shape. Better ratio of second cut to overripe first. And sun's out more than they said today, so gonna start baling soon. It's only like 1 o'clock or so. Got Mary Parker and Chris Rose have some second cut down there that's looking nice. They're probably going to be baling around the same time.